besides slavery was the Columbian Exchange. Different types of resources, animals, and foods were being transferred between Europe and the Americas. Africa also benefited from the Columbian Exchange. Weapons, ideas, people, and diseases were also being exchanged. American crops caused an increase of population between Europe, Africa, and Asia. Two main products of the Columbian Exchange were sugar and silver. Europeans in the New World forced labor to the natives and then made them have sugar plantations and silver mining.
History of the Ottoman Empire. The Ottomans made Constantinople their capital city, then renamed it Istanbul. While the empire was expanding, Christians and Jews were allowed to practice their own religions, making the empire very tolerant. As time passed, the Ottomans conquered most of the regions that were held by the ancient Roman Empire. As the empire grew, so did religious persecution. To conquer large territory, the Ottomans enslaved children of the Christians and turned them into warriors known as janissaries. The expansion of the janissaries, where during the reign of Selim I, 1512, Suleiman I rose to power and built up the Ottoman military and encouraged the development of art. This time was called the Golden Age. During this time, the Ottoman Empire tried to go to Europe from Hungary. While the Roman Empire was going through the Protestant Reformation, the Ottoman Empire took advantage of it and tried to move to Austria. Vienna was as far as the Turks got. The Ottoman Empire never got to expand anymore. The Safavids. The chief rivals of the Ottoman were the Safavids. They were a centralized state based on military conquest and dominated by Shia Islam. It is located between the Mughal Empire and the Ottoman Empire.
The Mughal Empire. In 1526, Babur invaded northern India and got defeated by the Delhi Sultanate. Babur established the Mughal Empire, which dominated India. Later, Akbar, who lived from 1556 to 1605, unified India under a government with toleration. He allowed Hinduism and Islam to be practiced. During his reign, Muslims and Hindus got along well. After Akbar's reign, Muslims began to persecute Hindus. In the early 17th century, Europeans began fighting for the Indian Ocean trade routes.
Russia. When the Turks conquered Constantinople and the Byzantine Empire fell, the center of Orthodox Christianity then moved to Moscow. Russian leaders were overthrowing the Mongols. 1480, Ivan III refused to pay tribute to the Mongols. Ivan VI established absolute rule in Russia. He then recruited peasants and offered them freedom for their feudal lords. If they agreed, they moved east to the new land. The peasants, though, had to conquer their own lands. The peasants who were soldiers were called Cossacks. Ivan VI was also known as Ivan the Terrible, not because he was bad, but because he was impressive. After Ivan VI died, Russia's feudal lords continued to battle over who should rule the empire. This problem was called the Time of Troubles, because the feudal lords kept killing each other and fighting. Michael Romanov was finally elected Tsar by the feudal lords in 1613. The Romanov dynasty was ruthless. The serfs were pretty much slaves. By the 1600s, they have expanded their empire through Siberia, then the Pacific Ocean. China. In the 1360s, the Ming Dynasty threw out the last of the Mongols. The Ming Dynasty ruled until 1644. During this time, they built a strong centralized government based on traditional Confucian principles. By the 1400s, China also built fleets. Zheng He led the fleets throughout South Asia and the Indian Ocean, just like the Europeans. If they would have continued their voyages, they could have gained greater trade. Instead, they stopped their voyages and caused a failing economy. The Ming tried to change counterfeit paper to silver currency. The result of this was inflation because of the silver abundance. With the Ming's decline came chaos, and they had conflicts with internal Ming rulers. In 1644, the Ming emperor called for the help of king warriors to help him calm down the uprising. Instead of the king helping him, they just ousted him. After that, the Ming, Manchu empires ruled until 1912.
Oh, China. Okay. Nicole makes really good PowerPoints. Nick sucks at writing on shower curtains. I like laughing into the microphone. Oh, China! You want one more fortune cookie? Jordy, 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 Jordy. Jordy, 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 Jordy. Jordy. Little solo kind of. Maxuga's the coolest, in case she sees this.
She
like,
will.
I love Miss Maxuga, yes I do. I love Miss Maxuga, how about you? She is the AP world, something, something, something. This is the greatest project ever.